Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all for your patience. I had a little glitch with my system, so I was trying to restart it when the webinar started. All right, without wasting much time, we are going to dive deep into the topic for today, Azure Sentinel. My name is Onoriode Eko. I'm a cloud productivity and security engineer with Ha-Shem. I also have MCT. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, and several other certifications I have with Microsoft. Today, we are going to be looking at Azure Sentinel and its benefit to our organization and how we can use it to leverage security, threat management, and response in our organization. Part of what we are going to be looking at today is what is Azure Sentinel, the introduction, overview, and its benefits. How does it work? And some of the features that Azure Sentinel have, which are data collection, visualization, analytics, incidents, hunting, and automation. To start with, Azure Sentinel is actually a SIEM solution, which is security information event management and security orchestration automated response. Today, we see that most organizations have CCTV that they use to monitor activities going on in the organization. It may be a supermarket, maybe in the hospital, or any form of organization. Normally, there is actually a personnel that views or monitors this CCTV, but sometimes there is nobody also monitoring this same CCTV operation. So most times they respond to incidents when something have already happened. And by that time, it's either too late or is of no use to them. Recently, I went to the supermarket to get some things, and my baby is still small, but the salesperson puts in a kid in an item that is meant for babies that are reading ABC called baby alphabet. I had to go back to the supermarket, like, why did you add this to my package? And the CCTV guy went and took me to the CCTV room and started reviewing and all that, which is time wasting. And at the end, we didn't really achieve much. Also, a colleague of mine also showed me two ladies that were in the supermarket that had to, like, they wear this they call it deeper life skirts, and they just throw crates of drink inside those skirts and was walking out of the supermarket. That video shows that they've been caught, but for somebody that have been doing that so perfectly over time, you can imagine how long that person has been stuffing those things inside those big skirts and going away with goods. Meanwhile, there is CCTV and nobody was paying attention at the same time. So Azure Sentinel is the same solution, but can go beyond other SIEM solution, as it does not only monitor but remediate issues in a timely manner. So it provides a solution that helps in collection of data, where you can collect data across all users, devices, application, and your infrastructure. The infrastructure could be located on-premise or on the cloud. It can also be even third-party applications. It also helps detect undetected threats, and it helps to hunt for suspicious activities at scale. It helps you to respond to incidents rapidly. Once you start using Azure Sentinel, you can start collecting data using a variety of connectors, which could be Microsoft or every other third-party connectors or products. You can connect to them and monitor them and respond to threats using Azure Sentinel. It also have inbuilt workbook for you to get more insight on the collected data, which provides you visualization into threats and how to mitigating them. Incidents or alert that would take us hours to investigate now often take just minutes to resolve with Azure Sentinel. You can work on a single platform that can aggregate data sources across hybrid multi-cloud infrastructure to analyze them better. So these are some of the very good features that we have for Azure Sentinel and the need why we need to use it for our organization. Most of the traditional SIEM solution, the systems typically take a long time to set up and configure, but with Azure Sentinel, you already have it as a platform of, as a service on the cloud, and it's very easy for you to set it up. The other SIEM solution are also not necessarily designed with cloud workload in mind, but because Azure Sentinel is already a cloud solution, it's already on the cloud and it can handle your cloud workload. So we can also see an overview of what Azure Sentinel entails. Is a cloud SIEM solution and is also a SOAR solution for cloud and for on-premise and other third-party workload. Is a platform as a service that runs on top of log and analytic workspace. Sentinel is a resource deployed in your Azure environment and managed through Azure portal. So when it's deployed on your Azure environments using the log analytic workspace, you can just manage it directly from your Azure portal. You don't have to go to any other platform to manage it. And it's designed in the cloud and can be integrated to your on-premise and other third-party workload like AWS, Google Workspace, and so forth. There are so many other workspace that you can integrate to it. Now, the next question that will be running through the mind of some of us will be, I have Azure Security Center in my Azure, on my Azure subscription. Why do I need Azure Sentinel? Yeah, if we look at the cybersecurity cycle phases, we have the first phase called visibility, which gives you visibility into issues as they occur. Then the next is analytics, which help you to analyze the issue. Hunting is for new issues, maybe issues that have not been visible to you. You can just quickly run queries to make them visible to you. Meanwhile, incidents are created from the issues, and automation is responding to issues. Azure Sentinel gives you the ability to look at all the phases in the cybersecurity cycle, while Azure Security Center just gives you visibility and analytics into any threats or issues that you have in your environment. So you see that you have a full package of the cybersecurity cycle when you are using Azure Sentinel. Some of the benefits of Azure Sentinel for your organization is that it helps to gather data. That is called data aggregation. The job of most SIEM solution is to gather security event information from the entire network, centralizing data collection in a single pane of glass. But Azure Sentinel makes it easy to collect this security data across your entire hybrid organization, from devices to users to apps, or to any server or any servers on any cloud. It also helps with data normalization. So it can help you to normalize your data and help you to make them better. So it's also a solution. As a solution, it doesn't only collect data, it normalizes it. In other words, what they do, it reformat the data in whatever format you desire. It doesn't allow you, it's not allowing for consistency in your log management, but for easy correlation. So you can see that with data normalization, you have data arranged properly for you. It also helps your organization to be compliant. Most of these organizations these days, they don't have any form of compliance management tool, and maybe when the regulatory body comes around, they start running up and down because they don't have any tool that they use for compliance. It's also help with threat detection and security alerting, which we are going to see as we move on in this session. So what you get when you use Azure Sentinel is that it delivers instant value to your defenders. You can have maybe the Microsoft Defender, cloud app securities and all that. It gives them proper value because when it collects those logs, it aggregates those logs and give you a very friendly view for you to investigate such logs and remediate threats as they occur. It also scales to support your growing digital estate. Here is the fun of actually using Azure Sentinel, because as your digital estate grows, as you have more resources, more resources in your environment, it also scales up. And the fun thing is that as it scales up, your bills are going down, because the more logs you pull from with using Azure Sentinel, you pay less on the service. It also uses artificial intelligence and automation to improve effectiveness. This we are going to see as we are moving on in the presentation. So how does Azure Sentinel work? Earlier, when I was comparing Azure Sentinel and the Azure Security Center, we looked at how the cyber security cycle works, collecting of data, detecting and investigating and responding. This is just how Azure Sentinel works. Azure Sentinel service go and collects data from the log analytic workspace. Using the Azure Sentinel service and using the data connectors, you can collect data from various sources. You can configure it to collect data from Azure Activity Log or sign in information from Azure. All this gets stored in the log analytic workspace. We are going to look at that in our demo. To check all the data in the log analytic workspace, you can use inbuilt query or your own custom query to query the data in the log analytic workspace. There are also inbuilt workbooks in place for visualization on the data. You can also create alerts based on analytics queries, and you can also look at incidents based on these alerts. If you are using Azure Security Center, which have its own log analytic workspace, you cannot use same log analytic workspace for Azure Sentinel, but can plug in Azure Security Center to Azure Sentinel using the data connectors. So looking at how Azure Sentinel collects data, we are going to start with data collection. And after onboarding your Azure Sentinel into your workspace, you connect data sources to start ingesting your data into Azure Sentinel. Azure Sentinel comes in with many connectors from Microsoft products available out of the box and providing real-time integration. For example, service-to-service connector include Microsoft 365 Defender connector and Microsoft 365 sources, such as Office 365, Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Defender for Identity, and Microsoft Cloud App Security. So as you can see from the diagram, you can see that there are different workloads, whether your network, your servers, your infrastructure as a service, even other workloads, you can actually collect data or logs using Azure Sentinel. So this is just a pictorial diagram of how Azure Sentinel collect data and the type of data that it collects. These are just a few of the data collection. You can see that you can collect data from your on-premises. You can also collect data from other cloud services, third-party cloud services like Amazon, AWS, other cloud and SaaS application. And it can collect data within Microsoft services like Office 365, Azure Infrastructure as a Service, Azure Platform as a Service, Microsoft Security Alert, Intune, and Microsoft Defender. There are also different methods that data can be collected using Azure Sentinel. You can collect data using the common event format, which can be a connector that is placed on the cloud and is pulling data from your local environment, that is maybe your branch office or your office on premise. Or you can also have a common event format collector that pulls from on-premise to other workload, as you can see from this diagram. Next, we are going to be looking at is visualization. Having visualization into something is more like going out of imagining the picture of something and seeing it actually. With Azure Sentinel, you can have a view of threats and analytics of data in your environment. You can have different types of visualization in the form of workbooks. Workbooks are actually the tools that are used by Azure Sentinel to create visualization for you to see threats and respond to them. There are so many galleries of workbook that you can select from in Azure Sentinel. You can modify the workbook using your own queries to suit your own purpose. And workbook can give you an insight into any threats and how to handle them on time. Azure Sentinel allows you to create custom workbook across your data and also comes with built-in workbook templates, so you can quickly have insights into any threats. Another feature we have with Azure Sentinel is that it can be used for analyzing threats. You're being able to analyze threats means that you can easily detect threats as they come. Azure Sentinel can start detecting for threats once data is being collected. So sometimes it can take up to 30 minutes after you set up Azure Sentinel for it to start collecting data. Sometimes it takes more than that, depending on your environment. There are many inbuilt templates available to detect different types of threats from different sources. So when you are using the analytics service, you have so many templates that you can choose from. These templates are more like different type of threats that can be pulled. So if you want to see maybe who cleared event log, you can actually go to the template and select for it, and you can be able to use it. So there are two different types of role templates under analytics, which is the scheduled template and the fusion template. Scheduled templates are based on built-in queries and are written by Microsoft security experts. And you can change the query logic to suit your need. So you can actually modify them. Sometimes you run a query and maybe the query is supposed to run to pull data for the last 24 hours. You can change it to 1 hour or 2 days, or you can select the number of results that can be pulled out from such query. I'm just using that as an example, but there are different lots of query that you can analyze. Next, we are going to be looking at is the other type of query rule is fusion. Fusion uses advanced multi-stage attack detection technique with the use of machine learning algorithm and fusion rules, and they are not customizable. So these are more like they are rule types that are just fixed. You cannot make changes to them, unlike the scheduled rules. So with incidents, we can actually start investigating threats on time. Sometimes when there is a threat, it's possible that Azure Sentinel may not have actually pulled that threat into your dashboard. So you might be looking at your dashboard and you may not be seeing that particular threat. But with your incident, using incidents, you can collect, you can query threats, and then you're going to get the results immediately, even though you've not seen it showing on your dashboard on Azure Sentinel. So you can just have a visibility into such threats and investigate them on time before it gets populated on your dashboard. Yeah, you can see like a screenshot of how a threat can be investigated. If I can get my Elisa pen. So here, this is the first point of the threat. And if you expand those threats, you can see that there's an attack on a machine from different IP and maybe from different websites that has been visited on this machine. And you can keep expanding to see more of the threats pattern that have been on that machine, and be able to mitigate such threats in the future. The next we are going to be looking at is hunting. With hunting, you can hunt security data with fast and flexible queries. So with hunting, you can just quickly get data using queries that are on Azure Sentinel. Azure Sentinel and then the log analytic workspace actually run on a query called the Coastal Query Language, which is a KQL query. It's actually an inbuilt type of query that can be used to pull data or used to run queries on Azure Sentinel. So when you are doing your hunting, you can just use it to run a query. Meanwhile, there are lots and lots of inbuilt queries that you can run, and then you can get results from them depending on which one you want. You can run all the query at the same time, and you see the results for the ones that returns any part of any form of threat on your organization. The next we are going to be looking at is automation. With automation, you can actually just sit and relax and see Azure Sentinel start doing its job. And this is part of one of the features that actually make Azure Sentinel so unique that it can actually handle things for you while you are relaxing. If you have seen a particular pattern of threats in maybe your virtual machine or in your environment, you can actually configure an automation for it to carry out an action. Automation works on Playbooks, and Playbooks are running on Azure Logic app. Azure Logic apps are like this Microsoft flow that you can create, that you can set actions that if a particular event occur, do this thing. If there is if data are cleared from a virtual machine or an unknown IP try to access a virtual machine, shut down the virtual machine, those kind of actions that can be set using the Logic app. And automation runs solely on Playbooks, which we are going to also see in the demo. There are different types of playbooks in Azure Sentinel. There's a playbook that handles your incident management, and there's a playbook that that comprises of enrichment and investigation, meaning that you are going to be able to use it for your investigation and get a deep knowledge of what the issue is. And there's also a playbook that does remediation, more like carrying out an action whenever a particular event occurs, such as something like blocking an IP, block a user access, trigger conditional access, isolate the machine, or shut down the machine. So those are some of the features of playbooks. The next we are going to be going into be the demo. And please just give me a few seconds to set up the lab environment and start the demo. So in the demo, we are going to be looking at how we can configure Azure Sentinel, how we can create a workspace and start collecting data, and demo on visualization, analytics, incidents, and creating rules, then hunting and playbooks. I just hope that we have enough time for that. All right, please can someone confirm if you can see my screen, please?
Yes, we can, please.
All right, thank you very much. So to set up Azure Sentinel is very easy, and we can just start by searching for Sentinel, Azure Sentinel. When you search for it, you get the results for it. You click on it, and the first thing you are going to do is to create your workspace. As you can see from this screen, I already have a workspace, but for the first time you are trying to set up Azure Sentinel, you are going to see a page like this that says you should create a new workspace. Creating a new workspace is just creating your log analytic workspace and assigning it to Azure Sentinel. So if I want to create a new workspace, I can click on create a new workspace or create a new workspace from here. If I click on it from here, it takes me to creating a log analytic workspace, which I already have. So I can just add a resource group, add a name to this log analytic workspace, choose a region, click next, and create. So if I have done this, let's assume I've done that and I have my log analytic workplace in place, which gives me access to the Azure Sentinel portal. So when you connect to Azure Sentinel like this, the first thing you are going to have when the first thing you are going to do with Azure Sentinel is that you are going to create your data connectors. With your data connectors, you can connect to any workload, as I've said before, in order for you to start monitoring and responding to threats as they come into your organization. So I'll go to the data connection, and we can see that we have several connectors, both third-party and Microsoft. You can see the providers and select a particular provider. You can see that we have Amazon and so many other popular providers that are available in the internet. Sorry, my scrolling keeps bouncing back. So you can see there's Facebook, there's Foursquare, there's Google, and so many other connectors that you can use. For the data type, you don't need to worry yourself about data type. It depends on what you want. For instance, if you want event logs, you can come here and select the data type for event log or show diagnostics and all. So here you can see the status, and I have just 4 connected data. The data, hello, someone saying something?
No,
I have 4 data connectors that are connected on my own environment. So I'll select all again, and it gives me all of them. So if I will want to add, for instance, I already have 4 that are already connected, but I want to monitor Azure Sentinel billing on my own account, I can just select the Azure Sentinel. Let me see if I should see it. So even when you are trying to monitor other workload, you can even monitor Azure Sentinel itself, and you can monitor how your logs are being pulled and how much logs you are pulling. Like I also said, from Azure Sentinel, you can, the more data you pull, the less you are being charged. So you can see for 100 gigabytes per day, you are being charged 50% compared to 5 terabytes per day, which is 65% discount. So you should also see that you have more advantage trying to pull more logs and analyze them. Going back to data connector, after you have set up your data connector, for instance, we want to go to security events, which I have already set up in my lab. This is it. So when you want to set up the security event, which is going to pull information, security information from your virtual machine, whether they are in Azure or they are on-premise, you go to Open Connector page. And here, you are going to be able to install the agent on your Azure VM, or you can install it on non-Azure VM, which may be a VM that is running on your on-premise environment. So apart from, even if you don't want to do this, like clicking on downloading and going to your virtual machine and all that, you can go to your log analytic workspace that you have created. Let me try to go to the log analytic workspace. So there are two ways you can actually get the agent on your machine. So the name of my log analytic workspace is Sentinel Analytics. If I should look for it and paste it here, I'll see it here is a log analytic workspace. From here, I can just decide to add my virtual machine to the log analytic workspace. And the same, the agent will also be created in that virtual machine. You can see that you can add your storage accounts, System Center, Azure Activity Log, and other workspaces to it. So going back to the connector and the security event connector. So if I go back there, I can choose the events that I want to actually collect. I can select minimal or common or all events. In my case, I've selected all event. So I also have the Azure events connector there. So I have the Azure Active Directory, which is supposed to collect sign-in log, audit log, and some other logs. But somehow I have you have to have the Azure AD Premium 2 in order to be able to collect sign-in log using this connector. So if I click on it and go to connector page, I'm going to see that warning there that I will need AD Premium 2 or Premium 1 license in order to use to pull sign-in logs. So for now, mine is only collecting audit logs, and you can see, okay, it's up now because initially when I pull in for a new trial for either P1 or P2, it was not picking the sign-in log, but now it's picking it up. So I can see my sign-in log because I have my Premium 2, and I can also see audit log. These other ones are not connected because I did not select them while I'm setting it up. So I can see my sign-in log and audit log. So for Azure events, for Azure activity, I can also see Azure activity event. So if I scroll down here, you can see Azure activity is connected. But the funny thing is that These events that are being collected are already events that are existing in our environment. For instance, if I go to Azure Active Directory, I can see my sign-in logs and my audit logs, which are the logs that are being collected from the Azure Active Directory connector. But the difference is that from here, I cannot really analyze it as good as Azure Sentinel will analyze those logs. Also for Azure Activity, I can also see it from Azure Monitor. So from Azure Monitor, these activity logs are the same logs that are also being pulled in Azure Sentinel here. So for the security events that are being pulled from our virtual machines, let me go back to the security events. Security event. These are also events that are also pulled from security events log whenever we open our events log. So it's also existing in our virtual machine, and you can see a graph that's showing the event. You see a downward trend because my virtual machine is not currently running. So I want to just quickly turn it on so we can see that logs are being collected from those machines. So I have this machine and this machine that are connected. So while we wait for that, the next we're going to be looking at is visualization. After you have collected logs, the next thing you are going to be doing is having a visuals of whatever information that is being pulled with using Azure Sentinel. Currently, you can see that we have 56 events that have been picked by Azure Sentinel, and we have alerts, one alert and one incident. But this is for the last 24 hours. So I can also decide to do 48 hours, and you can see that more events are being picked. I can see alerts, I can see query logs, security event, Azure activity, and other events. So for visualization, if we go to our connector, like I said before, Azure Sentinel uses Playbooks for visualization, which is this, and we have different playbook templates that are in Azure Sentinel. But for you to see specific visualization of a particular, workbook, not playbook. So for you to see specific visualization of all your connected connectors, you go to those connectors. For instance, I go to Azure Active Directory. You click on Open Connector page and click on Next Step. With Next Step, I can see that there are pre-configured workbook about 8 that we can have visualization of what is happening in our environment. So if I click on Azure AD sign-in log, it's going to give me a template of that workbook. Hopefully, I have some logs so far. This is the last 14 days. So it's trying to pull the logs. All right. So you can see my sign-in by location. I have all my sign-ins are 2, and the success is 2 for the last 14 days. And my location, my sign-in location is also entered. Log location sign-in details is also entered. You can see by which device I'm using a Windows machine to sign in, and my sign-in was successful. So was conditional access applied? There was no conditional access for my sign-in. I can also see conditional access status, and I can see it's disabled. So you can see that there are so many information you can actually pull. So for summary of top errors, if there were errors and anything, you can see that no query was returned because I do not have any error. So you can use workbooks to actually have a visual of what is happening in your environment. If you love a particular template, you can actually save that template and a new resource will be created for your workbook, which you can actually access at any time. So if I select different templates that are here and I choose a particular one, I can just save that particular template and save the template location and click OK. If I go back and say workbook, it's going to take some time to actually create that workbook. But see, right now I don't have any more. But after some time, a workbook will appear here, which I can also build like I'm viewing this template. So I already have a viewed saved workbook. So we can also use SIEM for other connectors. It can be the Azure Activity Connector. You open it and click on next step, and you can see your Azure Activity investigation insight and all that. With your Azure Activity, you can see those activities that are being tagged. But if you look at investigation insight, we are going to also have maybe Azure Activity insight. So to me, it's smarter for me to have this as my template and review it anytime I'm using it. I can view same templates and save it as a workbook. So this is for Azure Activity. For the security events, you can also view, have a visibility of the events that are occurring in your environment. So apart from even the workbook, you can see that there are also queries that you can run for all of these data connectors. You can run this query and you get results. I'll also show you how to run those queries. Then you can also have the relevant analytic template, of which we are going to also look at analytics and then see different templates that are in analytics. So if I go to identity and access, I'm going to click on this and see the security events that I have for my virtual machines. I have two virtual machines that are connected, and here we have the security event. So you can see user activities and machine activities. You can also see failed login, account was successfully logged onto, and several others, which is the top 10 activities that we show here. Next, I'm going to here, you are going to also see accounts that try to actually gain access to your virtual machine, because there might be bots that are in the internet. So you can see some strange account that you are not familiar with on this location. And you can also see the details to see the ones that failed and the ones that are successful in your environment. So you can then investigate and see how you can mitigate or block such actor from trying to access your environment. I think we have done much on visualization. The next we are going to be looking at is analytics. Analytics helps you to be able to investigate threats and respond to them in a timely manner. So the next, I'm going to, like I told you about two types of rules, the fusion rule and the scheduled rule. You can see that we have just one fusion rule that is here. We can modify or edit it, but for scheduled rules, we can modify or edit it. So for rule template, we can also select a rule template for us to be able to create a rule that will create an alert and also trigger an event on Azure Sentinel. So we can set severity of the different rules. All the different rules have their severity, and we can select the ones that are high and create a rule out of it. We can also have the rule type, whether scheduled or fusion and all that. We can see the tactic, whether it's a pre-attack, initial attack, execution, persistent, and others. We can also have data sources, whether from Microsoft or any other provider, Amazon, and all of them. We can filter that also. So I will want to just quickly show us how to create a rule and use it to create an event. So if I have on my virtual machine, maybe is being attacked or there is an event, someone is always clearing my event log all the time, the security event log, you will be able to get an alert whenever someone tries to clear the security event log. So I can do a search for event log that are cleared. Event log. Remove that. Okay, so security event logs that are cleared. Though I've already configured this rule, but why I actually have to configure them in time is that it takes about 30 minutes for you to start pulling data from your environment and showing you results. That's why I have to do it on time, so that we don't have to sit on this call and start looking and waiting for logs to be generated. So I have this one already configured, and we are going to look at it together. So if I'm going to click on create rule, I'm going to see the general and the medium severity alert. So whenever someone clears security log on your machine, an event ID of 1102 is always created on your machine to let you know that the event log was cleared. So after that, you can create click on next to set the rule logic. Now, I earlier said that Azure Sentinel and the log analytics uses a language called the KQL language, which is the custom query language, to query for event and provide result. So this is how it is written, and you can even modify this particular one to suit your own purpose. Now, because we are looking for event logs that are clear, if I should test this rule, I'll see that it may return no results. You can actually test that rule before you use it. So earlier, around October 9, this event was there. And also around today, when I was using my lab, this event was also there. That's why you can see that it returned results for that query. Next, we are going to also see that because I want to also test it, I will say it should run this query once in a day and look up data for the last 1 day. And I'm also going to create a query for a threshold that is greater than 0, so that when we run or demo it, we are going to see. The next is the incident setting. Here is going to create, if you enable this, it's going to create an incident for you to investigate that alert. And also, you can also create an alert grouping where you have alerts by group. The next we are going to see is automated response, which we are going to look at later, how to create a logic app and use it for a playbook. Then next we are going to review and create. So when you review and create, the rule will be created for you. So we have the security events cleared. I think I've created it twice. Okay. So let me disable one so that we don't have duplicate rules. So I was just trying to show us how to create it. That's why I went through that step together again. All right. So we have one that is enabled now. So if I should go back to my virtual machines, I want to connect to my virtual machine, and let me go to this one. This time I may have to share my own screen so you can see my VM. I don't know which screen you're seeing now. Okay, so I want to connect to my virtual machine. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to try and clear the security event log. And after clearing it, we see if an alert is triggered. So I'm going to the event viewer. Apologies for the time. I'll try to rush the rest of it. I just want us to. So this is my security event log. I'm waiting for it to populate. Okay, all right. So notice that if I should clear the security event, an event log of 1102 will be created. So I'm clearing the event log. This can happen when maybe a bot is on your machine and is clearing your event log. You can see the event ID 1102 showing that the log is clear. If I should clear it again, the log is still created for different times. So if I clear it for the third time, maybe I just try to clear it up to 3 times. Then I go back to I'm going back to Azure Sentinel. Trying to move this on my screen. Okay. So if I go back to Azure Sentinel and I go to overview. So we are supposed to see a log and an alert that is created. So let's see if this is the expected one. Okay, so it's not yet created. So that takes me to hunting. If I should go to hunting, I can see that this event has already been triggered, but it's not yet showing on my dashboard. So let's go back to analytics, rule templates, or let me just go to active rule. I select this, and I pick the query for that, I can copy the whole of that query and go to hunting. With hunting, I can see that this event is already there. So there are so many queries you can run under hunting for you to see events that are as they are being created. So there are several lists of queries that you can run. Like I said earlier, you can also run all the queries at once, or you can run just a specific query. But because I want to check for the events for clearing those logs, I go to live stream. With live stream, I can just run my own query and get results. Let me say security events cleared. Oh, sorry. Security events cleared. And I paste that here. So I click on play, and you can see the result. Can you see that is this time 15:02? So the result is already showing here that a security event has been cleared, but I've not seen it yet on the dashboard. So that tells you that is how hunting works. You can always see the event as a whole when you run the query, but it's possible that they are not yet being populated on your dashboard. So if we leave it for some time, we are going to see one alert and one incident, and then we can also be able to investigate. So that is for hunting. Now for playbooks, I will quickly go to playbooks, which is under automation. I said earlier that with automation, you can just watch things happen whenever an issue is going on. So I can create a playbook with event tree, with incident trigger, meaning that if anything happens, do this. For instance, if the security event is clear, shut down the virtual machine. So if I click on it, I start setting up the playbook, a logic app that is going to be used for the playbook. I can also configure a logic app from the Azure portal. So let me just quickly do this. We call this tests, enabled work analytics, Azure log analytics, Sentinel analytics, connection, and it's automatically picked Azure Sentinel. I review and create. It takes me to the logic app designer. And from the logic app designer, I can then create a logic app that is going to carry out an action whenever an event occurs based on my query or the alerts that I've created or set up. So this is taking quite some time, and I need to finish before 4:10 to save the time. Okay, so now it's created. I can go to the resource and look for the logic app designer. Oh, I think I'm in the wrong place. Let me go back to Azure Sentinel. Automation. Okay, just to save time, I already have a playbook that is already created here, and I would have loved to show you the details, but the way it is being created, let me just look for logic app. Okay, this is test. So from the test I created, I can go to logic app designer, and it takes me to where I can create the logic app. So when an Azure Sentinel incident creation rule was triggered, what do we do? Because I've created a rule that says if you clear the security log, what do we do? Next step, I said I'll carry out an action on Azure VM. What do we do next? We deallocate the Azure VM, which means shutting down the Azure VM. You choose the subscription, you choose the resource group, and you choose the virtual machine that you want to be shut down. In my case, I use the Hyper-V. So with this, I can just click on save. And when I save it, whenever that event is created, my virtual machine is going to be shut down. So you can see that because I have that logic app already created, my virtual machine has already shut down because an event, security event was cleared. I didn't shut down this virtual machine, but it has already shut down by itself because that security event was cleared. So because I'm trying to save time, I'm trying to run everything at the same time. So that is the much on Azure Sentinel. Let's see our alert is created yet, so I can just run through investigation. Okay, I think it has been created. So the last 24 hours, this is the one alert. So if I go to incidents, I can see that security event log was cleared. I can click on view details and I'll see details of that security event that was cleared. I can then assign it to someone and make sure that that person investigates it. Then I can change the status to either active or closed if I finish activated investigation. Then I can also click on investigation to do a further drill down into that event. Earlier when I was presenting, I showed us something like this, but with a much longer hands-on investigations to do. So this is the security event that was cleared and is on my VM, the Hyper-V VM. I can also see the entities that are affected by this event. So you can see that with Azure Sentinel, you can do a lot of investigation and you can also get insight to threats on time, and you can also automate those events to enable you to protect your environment from any form of attack or any unauthorized individual. I will draw the curtain here to save time. I hope I was able to make us understand how this works and the benefits of the product, so that with time we can start using it in our own personal environment to look out for threats, respond to threats automatically, and also hunt for threats. Thank you very much, and the next will be to the moderator to entertain questions, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the session. I mean, all through the while, I was really soaked in the insights you've been sharing with us, particularly the demo session as well. Well, of course, we have some technical experts here looking to gain more knowledge into Azure Sentinel, and that is beautiful. And I'm sure that everyone here would agree with me that it's been a time well spent. So I'd like just to bring to our remembrance again, like I had mentioned earlier, that we have in the chat window and evaluation box where you can get to share your comments on the webinar so far. And of course, we've come to the question and answer part where I want to believe we might have some questions we might need to ask, you know, given the demo that was shared and the several explanations that was given as well. And maybe should, in case you have any explanation, maybe how Azure Sentinel is leveraging analytics, you know, to detect threats. So when you, of course, spoke about incidents as well, you know, how you can start and track investigations from prioritized actionable security incidents, and of course the hunting feature as well. So in case you have any questions in these areas, you can begin to ask your questions now. So we'll be taking your questions basically. So you could also use the chat window as well. You can share your questions there. We'll just read it out and we would attend to them. I'm just trying to give some few minutes for the questions. I'm looking through the chat window now. I'm not seeing any questions there, so you can have your hands raised as well if you have any question. I mean, he's shared amazing insights here today. I mean, particularly the intro session where he gave us a quick example on how we can see the importance, of how we can leverage Azure Sentinel, and particularly it's the fact that it's leverages artificial intelligence to detect and the analytics features as well, which one of the things basically that impressed me a lot. You can leverage analytics to detect threats, choose from more than 100 built-in analytics rules. You can even customize and create your own rules using SQL queries. You can correlate events with your threat intelligence. Okay. I guess someone is saying something. Anyone? Oh. Well, I guess we are not having any questions yet. So I'd just like to bring to our attention again that this session was recorded and of course will be shared on our YouTube channel. So please do ensure that you visit our YouTube channel, ensure that you subscribe so that you can get to access many of these contents online. You can learn from them and begin to nurture your interest or begin to nurture your expertise, stay with recent trends and development in technology to upskill yourself generally. And so thank you very much, Mr. Solomon. Thank you for that. And so I'm just grateful that we all had this amazing session. And of course, please follow us on all our social media platforms as well. The link has been shared to the group. You can follow us on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on YouTube. So whenever you just think anything IT security and you're looking at, you have questions in your mind, you have reservations, you have concerns, and you need them to be addressed, please, our emails are not far from you at all. So please just send us a message, jump on any of our platforms, and we would be right there to get back to you to attend to every of your needs. So thank you very much once again. Like I've mentioned, this is a series. It's a series, so it's an ongoing thing. It will happen every other Tuesday. So you want to mark that down on your calendar, invite your tech security friends as well. You have anyone who's looking to nurture interest within the space, looking to gain more skills, more knowledge, more insights within the space, please get them on board. And as well, I'd like to thank Mr. Michael Adelaja as well, who's been supporting me on the chat window. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. And I want to thank everyone that joined this call as well. You're amazing people. You're joining the call. It shows that you support what we do and that you believe in what we do as well. So we're looking forward to having you here again. Come the next webinar we'll be having, which should be the Hopper Tuesday, and we'll be sending the links to register as well. So you can as well, keep up with us on all our social media channels, know what is going on, know the trend, bring to your attention, and just follow up with us. And we are really glad that you've been doing that so far. All right, so having said that, I'd like to wish you all a lovely evening and have a wonderful time, for the rest of your day. Bye, everyone. Cheers.